Okay, let's try to get in a little bit more into this chapter. Let's go to page 9 in the outline. And actually, I want to begin on the top. This is from 15, but it goes into 16. So very specifically, what do we need to do to get the mind realigned? That's our job here. What is your name?
Hugh.
Hugh. I called you Vincent a while ago. There's a Vincent that used to come. You're not Vincent, Hugh. I just want to make one reflection on part of what you said earlier, which this is something that Ken Wapnick had said, and I think it's really true. We talked about, when Ellen talks about losing the body, it doesn't necessarily mean that the ego is a goner, okay? I think it does mean that there's a lot of things that's going to happen. First of all, you're going to get that you're not a body, right? So if you're not a body, then you're also not all those concomitant factors that go along with the body. Name, identity, occupation, all that kind of stuff. That none of that's going to... We're not our resumes, another way to say it. But there may still be an ego factor there that is still in resistance and not really ready to totally... Can you say dying does not mean you're going to become enlightened, okay? But it does mean that you're in a position to learn a great deal more. And, that's why this whole course is real... Pardon?
The you doesn't exist.
No, that doesn't. But we're still trying... What the course is about, it's about awakening to the reality that you does not exist, right? All right, so... But what is it that we have to be practical? This requires work. What we have here is there's a reason that we're studying this. This is a work book, we are working on getting to this state of awareness. And why are you all here? Well, everybody is here, really, because we're thirsting after this knowledge. We're thirsting after this knowledge that we're convinced, I'm 100% convinced, and I think most of the rest of you are too, otherwise you probably wouldn't be here, that it's in here. That this isn't the only great, but it is a great one in terms of 20th century Western world, psychology, sophistication, way of understanding what's really going on. So it's this process. And the process is that, hopefully at some point, we will do what Jesus did. I and the Father are one. We'll go there and we'll be all the way 100% home, and there won't be any need to even desire a body until I come back to it. Now let's go to this quote on the top of 9. So I love this one. Every once in a while there's a passage that's so good you memorize it. This is one of them. When the body ceases to attract you, and when you place no value on it as a means of getting anything, then there will be no interference in communication, and your thoughts will be as free as God's. What we're talking about here today is communication. Learning how to communicate on a higher level. And to get out of the dark and, and to be able to see better, right? And to hear, but the part of what I was doing with the starling illustration earlier is saying that this hearing is not a hearing that happens with words. It's a deeper kind of intuitive knowing that can come across. You just know. You don't have to be. You know that this isn't all there is to it. You know that there's something else that extends beyond this. And we know this enough already that, again, that's why we're here, because we're thirsting to know it even more deeply. We want to go all the way with this. Where the Course is going, and this is a word that's used a lot, where that bridge is going, it's going home. You know, we're going home. The Course says to the place where you are truly welcome. And as a matter of fact, not only are you truly welcome, but you never left. You know, that's the idea that you left is what the whole atonement process is about. It's nothing happened. You know, that's kind of the great news. You know, nothing really happened. You just had this dream that you left home. And you went on this very strange journey. And you got all caught up in the affairs of the world and your own affairs and your own soap opera of your own life that you projected out there into the world. So that's, again, why it's just a matter of awakening fear. So let's look at when the body ceases to attract you, you place no value on it as a means of getting anything. So how do we get to a place where we have no interference in communication? One, by ceasing look at the attractions of the body. Look at the demands of the body, the things that it seems to pull us to, right? It's hungers. And again, you know, there's a passage earlier which I skipped over, where it talks about appetites are getting mechanisms. You know, they're not of the body. It's actually of the mind. It's the mind that's making the decision. It's the mind that has the cravings, not the body. We blame it on the body, but it's not the body. It's the mind that gets into these needs and these wants and these have-to-haves, all right? And then two, by placing no value on the body as a means of getting anything, no thing. You don't need anything because in Course terms, you already have everything. By already, I mean, you already have God, you already have love, you already have the truth. It's available to you. And a good part of what we have to do is just simply have to, first of all, trust. I mean, really trust that that's true. That God is in charge, God's watching the whole thing, and if you just, as Jesus said to Helen once, when she complained about the fact that the Course wasn't working for her, he says, well, why don't you do it? You know, if you would just do what I'm asking you to do, you know, then you'd be able to hear. In fact, I said the exact line was, why don't you do what I'm asking you to do so that you can hear my voice even better? Now, Helen heard the voice really clearly. But just like all the rest of us, there is this will thing that got in there. You know, I hear it, I know the truth. Will I do what you asked me to do? So, you know, will I make the commitment to follow that straight path, you know, that leads to that narrow gate? Or am I going to allow some little perturbation, some little distraction, some little physical thing, or some little psychological thing, something that somebody says that I don't quite like what they said, you know, I don't like the tone of their voice or whatever, right? Am I going to let that take me off course, literally off course? Or can I maintain my course? Can I maintain the median, the central way? And the process for this, also on 9, says spirit is getting. To spirit, getting is meaningless, and giving is all. It's not. That's why it's not about getting anything. It's just about reverse the process. So when we talk about reverse the process, it's giving, not getting. The more love I give away, the more I'm going to experience. The more in line I get with this mind, the easier this dance is going to become. You know, and so I can learn. Joe Campbell used to talk about the dance. You know, getting into the dance where you could do it in such a way that you would just sort of dance through life in the nicest sort of way. There's not a problem going on, even when there's problems going on, but you're not caught in it. Let's go on. Let's move right into the book. I'll go to 11 in your text. Let's look at true empathy. I'm going to try to hit on just a few of the major ideas. What? Oh, my pages are slightly. Okay. I am sorry. You are right. My pages are different. That's because I added some stuff. 10. Go to 10. I'm on 11. You're not. I'm ahead of you. Not really. Okay. The first part on true empathy. To empathize does not mean to join in suffering, for that's what you must refuse to understand. That is the ego's interpretation of empathy and is always used to form a special relationship in which the suffering is shared. Now, this is all that it means about true empathy. True empathy simply does not mean that I'm going to, you poor soul, and I'm going to get in there and I'm going to suffer with you. We're not reinforcing the suffering. It doesn't mean I don't feel with you. It doesn't mean I'm not present for you. But I'm not joining you, in your projections, for example, if you've got projections. I'm not joining you in your victimhood. If you're playing victimhood, you know, I'll be here for you, but I'm not going to get into pain because of Eric. Yes, get the mic for Eric.
It feels like to me it's not joining in your reaction. And all of what we've been talking about, I think, from his question on is when we are in this world and we are really believing what's going on, we are likely to have reactions.
Right.
And a reaction is a tantrum to not getting what I think I want.
Right. So it's being reactionary. We're not being reactionary. Right. So we just see the world. That's why you don't get upset. I'm never upset for the reason I think, but you don't get upset when things are going. You see it, you observe it, you're present for it, but it's not going to drive you crazy. And let's pass the mic back to Cora, if you can.
Hi, I'm Cora, and I want to share something with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, right to your mouth.
I'm sorry. It's too personal for me. I'm sorry, but
It's okay.
As I said to you a long time ago, I had a surgery over a year ago, and I had a flat line. I literally died. And well, anyways, prior to that, I'm a DNR. I'm a do not resuscitate. I literally flatlined on the table, but the doctor didn't realize that. So I flatlined for 99 seconds. The reason why I know, because it was an open lawsuit that I can sue the hospital, I could sue all the nurses, the surgical nurses, and the doctor. Well, anyways, with all that, I experienced the most. I didn't want to come back. Needless to say, I didn't want to come back. But I was told that I'm not done yet.
No.
I'm not done yet, so therefore I'm here. And and when the lawyer of the hospital came and started reaching out to me, because I didn't want to deal with anyone. I literally didn't want to deal with anyone, with my mom, with my sisters, with my brother-in-laws, hiring lawyers left and right. Lawyers are calling me left and right. But on top of that, the surgery that I went for, it didn't even happen. It didn't even happen. I was supposed to have a total hysterectomy, but I started bleeding. My kidney failed. I just literally just started bleeding, and I saw all this in a terminal, and a flat screen TV, and like what you said, while I was watching me on that table, I was like, oh wow, this doesn't really mean anything.
All right.
And it just, and I had this overwhelm that I don't need to sue anyone. Money doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Anything that I wanted, jewelry, money, trips, cars, best designers, bags, from shoes to bling, did not freaking mean anything.
That don't mean anything.
And in the room, it was just me and the representative of the hospital. And I said, give me the goddamn pen and I'll sign it, and everything is done. And
Okay.
it was part of my letting the ego, I was like, I don't need you.
Yeah, right. That's
And
wonderful.
it was too personal for me to share it, but among, I'm with, you know, you're my
You're
brothers
right.
and sisters. We all one, but I felt like I wanted to say it out loud. I never really, you know, and it was, I can't wait to come home because that for me, oh wow.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow. You
Oh,
see it. You saw it.
I see things differently. I literally do,
Right.
and seeing my dead bodies, watching it on a flat screen TV, and what had happened, all the nurses, and when the nurses saw my hands, like, she's a DNR, she has a, you know, I have my bracelet, and they're not supposed to touch me, but there's a reason why I'm here,
Right.
and I still have a lot of work to do. And I just
See-
wanted to share that with you guys
Thank you,
because
Cora.
I lived it and I'm still
Yes.
working on it. And there is, oh my God, the most.
Right.
I can't wait to come home. Just want to share that with you guys.
Thank you, Cora. So, yes. I know, but let us anyhow. So, what Cora saw is what we're all trying to see, and but without having to go through that process. You know, there's nothing that says we got to have that happen on an operating table when you can come to it by simply doing this discipline and by being aware. And not just reading it, and there's a thing about studying it. You do begin to get it. It does become clear. That's why we have these workbook lessons, and that's why they repeat the workbook lessons. And I hope, you know, there's nothing that says that once you've done it, you need to do it again. But doing it again is incredibly. Step 2 and step 6 is, you know, I mean, it just keeps going until we are home. So we go all the way home. And as you all know, I think that's what happened to Ken. I think he went home. All right. So let's go. It's actually not page 12. Let me see in here. Okay, let's go to 11. And I just want to highlight a few of these because we're not going to get through all of it. On the bottom of 11, the right, this is a reflection back to something that was in chapter 12. And in chapter 12, it says, if a brother asks you to do something, do it because it doesn't matter. And now here in 16, we're getting a little bit more clarification on that. It says, I have said that if a brother asks you to do a foolish thing, you should do it, but be certain that this does not mean to do a foolish thing that would hurt either him or you. For what would hurt one will hurt the other. So, you know, it doesn't mean that, I mean, certainly if somebody asks you to, we don't give matches to children, we don't give scissors to children. If somebody says, I would like to kill myself, can you help me? You probably are going to say no. They're going to facilitate this process. So if it hurts them or it hurts you, the answer is no. Most of the rest of the time, you do it because it really doesn't matter. Part of what Cora saw was that nothing matters. That all the stuff that we say matters in this world literally physically doesn't even matter. We make that matter. And then let's go on to the power of holiness on 12. I'll just read a few of these. At the top, you have done miracles, but it's quite apparent that you have not done them alone. You have succeeded whenever you have reached another mind and joined with it. This is really, truly joining on the level of mind. Part of what I think we experience when we really are in love with someone, really, not the false version of it, not the special relationship kind of love, but the stuff where we really are connected, where the other person's interest really is our interest as well. We don't separate it out as separate interest, right? You succeeded whenever you reach another mind and join with it. When two minds join as one and share one idea equally, the first link in the awareness of the sonship as one has been made. So we're just getting back to this memory. And then also on 12, it is true, just as you feared, that to acknowledge him is to deny all that you think you know. But what you think you know was never true. None of this was ever true. That's what part of, again, what you see, that none of this matters, right? At this point, we have just passed the center of the Course in Miracles. So we've got another year and a half to go. You want to say something, Amy? Okay. Can you got, wait a minute, it's got to have the mic right there.
This has been bothering me the whole class, and I don't know what it was that triggered it. But why are we here in the first place? Why did we leave heaven or God or whatever?
Why would we do that?
Yeah.
So I have an answer for you in terms of the Course. That question gets asked a lot. It gets asked repeatedly. Probably every major workshop that you do, that question is asked. And I can answer the question, but you won't feel like it's a sufficient answer. And you won't feel it because once I answer it, you'll say, yes, but why that? So it's a regressive why. By regressive, I mean there's always a why behind the why. Okay? Why would we be so insane? As to, well, we chose to be here. We chose to break away from God. We chose to be, so we wanted, what we did is we said to God, thank you very much, I'd rather do it myself.
Was it that, or was it volunteering to make?
Hold on to that if you're going to have it, dear. It's on, I think.
Oh, yeah. Was it, I don't want to be here anymore, or was it volunteering to help God grow through different experiences?
No.
It's
No.
all ego.
Right. Right. Otherwise you wouldn't be here at all.
So then how, if heaven is so wonderful, how did we become ego there?
Good question. Actually, we'd never, I know that this is going to sound confusing, but it's not. Actually, it never happened. I said that before, and I'll say it again. That's why the whole thing's an illusion. The whole thing is an illusion because we think that it did happen. We think that we left God. We think we left home. Actually, a lot of people, when they have the near-death experiences and they experience it is a matter of going home, as Cora describes, and you realize that the whole thing was just a dream. It was just a silly dream that we all got caught up in, or individually we got caught up in, and we thought it was real. When you have a dream, you have a very vivid dream, it seems like it's very real at the time that it's happening, right? But it's not.
I had that same experience.
Put this onto your mouth.
Okay. I had the same experience when I was a kid and was very ill.
Mm-hmm.
And died. And was told that I had to go back. Now that doesn't seem like a dream.
Right. Okay. So when Anita Morjani, in her book Dying to Be Me, or even Alexander, or anybody, when they come back, they always come back for the same reason. And the reason that they say they came back was because they had a mission. As Cora said, I'm not done, right? So we're not done here yet. And a part of not being done here yet is probably also to help our brothers and sisters to make the transition as in thinking. I mean, not thinking, but in the mind as well. I'd like to actually, in continuation of this, I want to jump ahead to another part of this chapter. Chapter 6, we're still in chapter 16, but I'm going to move up to the bridge to the real world. In interest of time, if we have time, I'll come back. But this is so relevant to what you're talking about right now. Actually, let's go to probably it's 20. Across the bridge, it's so different. You see that? Papa 20? Okay. I'm actually going to read from the book itself. This is a now there's two ways to read this section. One, to read it as a kind of literal sense of it's talking about death and the whole transition out of the body. And another way to read this is it's truly talking about us healing our special relationships. You'll see how that it's all tied together as we go through it. I'm on, you said it's 20, right? Across the bridge, it is so different. Now we're going home. For a time the body is still seen, but not exclusively as it is seen here. In this world, it's very hard for us not to think that we're bodies. We're very caught up in the bodies. We're very identified with the bodies. We're actually fascinated with bodies, other people's and our own, right? We love to look at bodies, right? We love to make evaluations about how pretty they are, or how ugly they are, or whatever it is. You know, all this, everything we do, there's a line in the Course that says, everything you do is done for the sake of the body. And if you think about it for a moment, that's true. Pardon? He's the hero of the dream. Yes, there's a later section in the Course that we will get to called, where the body's called the hero of the dream. So it's the hero of the dream. So all the stuff that has to do with eating and taking care of it and washing it and clothing it and putting jewelry on it and you know, all the stuff that we do with it. And of course it decided that this is just a huge distraction for you, right? But let me go back to this. The little spark that holds a great ray within it is also visible. Now another way of talking about the little spark and the great ray, you could substitute for the little spark soul. And we could substitute for great ray God. Okay? The soul that holds God within it, okay, is also visible. So the soul is also visible now, or the little spark is also visible. And this spark cannot be limited long to littleness. The body is actually little. It's actually nothing. It's very little. Once you cross the bridge, the value of the body is so diminished in your sight that you will see no need to magnify it at all, For you will realize that the only value the body has is to enable you to bring your brother to the bridge with you and to be released there together. Now, you're asking what we're doing here, right? Well, one of the thing that we're doing here is that we're working on healing this mind. And this mind that we're healing is the mind that thinks it's separate or broken off from our brothers and our sisters. If there is just one mind, and the Course is saying that there's just one mind, then what we want to do is get back to that one mind. But I can't get back to that one mind as long as I think that my brother or my sister is somehow or another inferior than I am, that I'm better than they are, that there's a whole lot of judgments that I can make against them. And it's all these judgments that then become my blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So this is why this chapter is a lot about the special relationships. It's about healing all of our special relationships. The way we heal the special relationship, of course, primary in terms of the Course, is through forgiveness. Forgiveness is this process by which this whole thing is done, by which it is all accomplished. But then we have to learn more about what this process is. So, I've said before, this last line here, the only value the body has is to bring your brother to bridge with you and be released there together. I know I've used this illustration, but I'll use it again. We get into heaven holding on this hand, the hand that this is figuratively, not literally. There's no bridge either, but the bridge is a symbol. It's a very good symbol, right? We're crossing this bridge. We're holding on this hand, the hand of somebody who's helped us. And we're holding on this hand, the hand of somebody that we're helping. That's how it's all connected, right? I don't know who this is, but I know who this is. And I can tell you, who this is this, if you just think for a moment about somebody that you really don't like, okay, that's who that is. Okay, because this is where, I know, you didn't want to see that person there. Not him, not her. This is your really special relationship. Because this is where the healing has to occur. And it has to occur as I forgive this, as I let this go. And as I see that this brother is one, as a matter of fact, is one with me, now the transition becomes possible. Now I don't know who's thinking of you that way. Maybe nobody if you're lucky, but on the other side, it's easy to see this. Let's go on into this next paragraph. This may or may not be on 20, I'm not sure. I'm reading from the text now. The bridge is nothing more than a transition in reality. On this side, I mean this worldly side, this bodily, worldly side, everything you see is grossly distorted and completely out of perspective. It's grossly distorted. It says we don't see anything, really. We just see what we're making up. What is little and insignificant is magnified. The whole body itself, the whole world itself, all that external stuff that what's little and insignificant. We used the illustration last time of gold. Or diamonds. We probably, as being something that's significant, of value, has no value at all. Absolutely no value. I pointed out to you a couple months back, rather, that there's actually a star out there in space somewhere that's a diamond that is several billions and trillions of size. I can't even begin to describe how big this is, but it has no value because there's nobody to value it. Right? Well, let's go on with this. What is little and insignificant is magnified. What is strong and powerful is cut into littleness. Love itself. Love is cut down to littleness. In the transition, there's a period of confusion where a sense of actual disorientation may occur. That would be natural. But fear it not, for it means only that you've been willing to let go of your hold on the distorted frame of reference that seemed to hold your world together. So as we're letting go of the distorted frame of reference that hold on, so the distorted frame of reference is thinking that you are somebody in the world. You have a name, you have a resume, you have relationships, you have all that stuff which seems to define you and make you something real. But we're letting go of all of that. This frame of reference is built upon the special relationship. Now, again, the special relationship is all those hurt feelings and all those anxiety, all the projective stuff that we've got going on with our brothers and sisters. Without this illusion, there could be no meaning you would still seek here. Now the next line. Fear not that you will be abruptly lifted up and hurled into reality. Now I have to say that in this experience that I had in 1976, I did feel as though I'd been abruptly lifted up and hurled into reality, but that was because I was using dynamite to try to break in the doors of heaven. And which is really not the best way to get in, but you get in, but then, it's like chaos. And chaos isn't what you want. Time is kind, and if you use it on behalf of reality, it will keep gentle pace with you in your transition. Now, here, by the way, in this sentence, there's two words that the Course uses it quite a bit. Kind and gentle. Time is kind. That's a part of what we're doing here, Amy, is we're using time, because time is it's a slow process. Be glad that you're not going to suddenly be awakened. Because if you were suddenly awakened, as I said happened in that 76 experience, then I didn't know everything was gone, and I just instantaneously, I didn't know how to handle it. Did not know how to handle what it was, because it was, and I wanted my body back so damn bad, because I understood physicality, I understood space-time, so even though it was, I said in that description that I realized it was a dumb, stupid animal, but I wanted the dumb, stupid animal back because I understood dumb, stupid animal, even though that may not make sense, but that's where it was at that point, right? The urgency is only in dislodging your mind from its fixed position here. So our mind gets very fixed in its position here and thinking that this, I think it's a particularly difficult, no doubt, for someone who's famous when they die. Because if you're really famous, then you are somebody. in the world. The world says that you're somebody. In addition to you saying that you're somebody, you got reinforcement by television and newspapers and everything. That's all this collection of definition. So now you get that whole definition has got to be overcome. And that's a lot to overcome, right? Wonder what happens with a Michael Jackson or a Elvis Presley, or, you know, when that whole thing is just kind of, there was, to waken up to the fact that that had no reality, to the, that was too was a dream, right? Maybe it'll happen very quickly. It depends on where, who knows? We're not making judgments about this, right? Wherever a soul is wherever a soul is. The period of disorientation which precedes the actual transformation is far shorter than the time it took to fix your mind so firmly on illusion. So think about this for a moment. So when we come into this world, it takes a long time for us. We go through this very long process. Actually, humans go through it longer than any other animal. I mean, of becoming aware that you're a body, that learning how to speak, identifying that word with your name. So, you know, very young, under 18 months or something, you know, there's very little of that kind of awareness that we have to slowly become adjusted to the fact that I'm this person, my name is Mary Ann, you know, I'm a female, I'm, you know, have these parents, I have these kinds of relationships, etc. So all of that definition, all the definition that defines us. So we're going to be letting go of all of this definition. But the Course is saying the period which precedes the actual turn is shorter than the time it took here. So we can be sure that it's not going to, we're eventually transcending time. But in the meantime, you know, while we're in time, it's going to be shorter than what it was here. Delay will hurt you now more than before only because you realize that it's delay. Now, this is one of the problems of studying the Course in Miracles. One of the problems of studying the Course in Miracles is you begin to realize the non-reality of the world, and the more you see it, then you've got it real, but I'm still here. And I have to deal with this whole thing. And how do I deal with it from this other perspective? Because there's still crap, you know, coming my way. No telling where it's coming from, right? Bureaucracy, for example, right? We all run into that. And that escape from pain is really possible. Find hope and comfort, rather than despair in this. You cannot long find even the illusion of love in any special relationship here. Okay. So I think that I'll stop on that. But this is sort of good news, and it's a helpful way for us to understand this whole transition process. Now, we're 5 minutes again away from a break, so I'll stop to see if there's any response. Yes, Veronica, give her mic over here to Veronica.
Hi. Well, you said something that was a little disturbing to me.
Okay.
You said that after we pass away, we're not going to just wake up and there's still hints of the ego. Does that mean we're going to be reincarnated?
No, not necessarily.
I hope not, because the reason why I'm doing this course is because I don't want to come back.
Well, hon, if you don't want to come back, then you're probably very well on the way of not coming back.
Thank you.
Okay. You know, I think, you know, that's one of the advantages of doing this course is that I think I asked the question in here once before, is there anybody in the room who would like to come back? I'm asking it again, is there anybody in the room who would like to come back? Okay, I got 2. Okay, out of about 45 or so people, all right. Just be aware that coming back means coming into limitation. I mean, it means coming into form. It means having this definition once again. And there's most of us, I think, probably would like to be able to transcend this form. And this it's actually a limitation in form. The Greeks had the saying, "Soma sema," the body's a tomb, right? And Mahatma Gandhi said it's a prison. And you could see that there's something to that, right? No, it'd be really nice not to have any kind of limitation. It'd be really free as the soul can be free. the problem is that there's a paradox in this whole thing. The paradox is that in order to be really free, you've got to give up being what you think is free, you, as a separate individual in the world. But what the mystics are telling us, what like this one mind is telling us, is that that's what we want. We want to go back to the one mind, because that's where peace is. That's where you can dance. I mean, that's where you can really dance in accordance with the one mind, because you don't have limbs. You can fly. You know, you're not limited. There's a reason we think, when we think about something beyond this world, we think of angels, but we give them wings. We still have to have the physical form to it, right? That's because of us. We have to put things into physical format of something. But actually we're transcending. There's no angels either, not in that sense. Maybe in the sense of light. Light is something that's very different altogether. Anything else? Yes, Ellen, and then over here, and then we'll take a break.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know if it's a question or what, but I was thinking, to your question, don't we have to have separated in order to realize like the oneness? It's like without the separation, we would be like birds. There would be no, there wouldn't be a coming home. So, I mean, I'm not sure why, but it's like in order to experience the sense of peace and stillness that I experience every day, I had to be separate and think I was an individual person to realize that I'm not.
I mean, to go back to it.
Yeah. So I need that duality or whatever. That would be the reason. Because otherwise I'm a bird, I'm a tree, which in a sense I am, but without that consciousness, yeah.
You're saying there needs to be a separation before there can be a union?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because
what we're doing is we're moving from subject-object, self and other, to realize there is no self and other.
Right, subject, but I think we have to separate or think we're other to realize we're not, right? No. I'm
All right, we're back here, and then we'll take our second break.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the beginning, when I first started the course, it was very difficult. The language was very difficult, and I didn't understand. But once I understood what I was saying, I realized that everything that was happening was not really. It was just my projections. All the people around me, the conflicts, the arguments, all that stuff was just things that I was projecting, but I didn't know what to do with it. And I just recently realized that it's all about forgiveness. Everything that is presenting to me right now, I'm making it up. And the purpose for me is to forgive it, which is actually forgiving myself, because there is no one else. See, all the bodies here I made up. Everything is just a projection of my mind. So in my own guilt, projected out, when I see on TV unfairness and the war and all that is a symbol, is symbolic of my own guilt, which is what what I read recently was that when I thought I separated from God, it created that guilt. Right. So the guilt is projected out into this universe that doesn't exist. So it's giving me images that I need to forgive. And then once I'm done with the forgiveness lessons, then I will ascend. So I think someone else was talking about what we're doing here. I think for me, that is why I'm here, because I have to forgive what never occurred in the first place. Right.
Now, I want to, actually, Christian and I were talking about this before class started today. And just one thing about what you were saying, and then we'll take a break. Don't be too literal with that. Don't say that you didn't create those other people. What we create is our reaction to these other people. It's our response to what we think is going on. That's what we create. It's our thoughts about what we see that we create. So just be very aware of what the thoughts are, and be aware of the very fact that I'm creating special relationships with these folks. I didn't make you. You didn't make me in that literal, physical sense of the thing. It's just in the mind. It's how I see it. That's the main thing. Okay, let's take a break. Okay, I just want to look at like the last 3 pages of the booklet, and then we'll do a little dialoguing more together. As we progress into the day, we have more and more dialogue. So I'm on page 21 in your booklet. Well, up at the top, we'll start talking about what the holy instant is. We spent some real time talking about what the holy instant is last time we were together. The holy instant is the opposite of the ego's fixed belief in salvation through vengeance for the past. The holy instant is understood, it is understood, that the past is gone. And with its passing, the drive for vengeance, I don't think there's any of that in you, has been uprooted and has disappeared. The stillness and the peace of now enfolds you in perfect gentleness. Everything is gone except the truth. What more could you want than that, right? And down to the bottom of 21. There is nothing you can hold against reality. All that must be forgiven are the illusions you have held against your brother. That's all that there is. Nothing else but that to let go of. Their reality has no past. This idea has no past, right? And only illusions can be forgiven. The illusion is that you thought that there was some error in your brother, and you saw it there. Not only did you see it, you affirmed that it was there. And not did you affirm that it was there, but you may have also said it needs to be fixed. And I know how to fix it. And often in this world, the fixing is violence as a means of fixing it, which is, as we all, this past week we've seen, you know, a demonstration of violence, and we would all just really look at it and that this is a kind of insanity to think that we could have some act of violence and that would somehow or another fix things or improve things or change things, and all, of course, all it ever does is to affirm a wholly different kind of response, right? It's just a form of, to think that that you could ever do anything and say, God is great. God is great because I've killed you. Going on with this. God holds nothing against anyone, for he is incapable of illusions of any kind. Nothing against anyone. Right? And then on the last 2 pages. So I used to have a teacher of transpersonal psychology, Dr. Hora, used to say, ignorance is not a person. Meaning there's, you know, the fact that ignorant act occurs does not mean that's something that I have to attack against. Also on 22. Thus will you learn that you have been forgiven, for it is you who offered them illusions. You'll learn that you've been forgiven as we forgive, as we ourselves let go, as we, this very simple process for discovering, I guarantee you, if you really forgive, the way that you'll realize that you've done it is you will realize in that instant, oh my God, I'm the one who's been forgiven. I'm forgiven. I'm forgiven simply because it never had anything to do with the other. It never had anything to do with this person. And I thought it was about them. And once I'm able to release it and say it's not about them, I'm free. I'm liberated. That's the way this works. And it's 100% sure that if you've done that, then you have forgiven. You know, there's no, I forgive you, but, you know, I had a cartoon in Miracles magazine once that shows a woman standing in a door, her husband sitting in a chair, and she's talking to another woman, and she says, forgive him for free. I'll forgive you, but, you know, we got to make a deal out of this, you know, don't ever do that again. But it's like somebody once said that nobody forgets where the hatchet's buried. You know, so we bury the hatchet, but you know, I think, but you know, if pushed, it could be dug up. Which really means you have a special relationship. You got the special relationship going on right there, right? And then on the bottom of 22. It is impossible to let the past go without relinquishing the special relationship, for the special relationship is an attempt to reenact the past and to change it. Imagine slights, remembered pains, past disappointments, perceived injustices and deprivations, all enter into the special relationships, which becomes a way in which you seek to restore your wounded self-esteem. Now think how much we hold in about family relationships, for example, right? With, let's say with children, or those that we try faultingly to guide along the way, and then they still hold some resentments against us, or we hold it against them because, one of the worst things I've said that you can say to a kid is, "I'm disappointed in you," because you didn't live up to my expectations of who you were supposed to be. I know of a case where I won't go into saying anything about who or where or what, but a child committed suicide because not living up to the parents' expectations. I mean, that's just, you can imagine how crushing that was to the parents that were involved in that. This is some time ago. What basis would you have for choosing a special partner without the past? Every such choice is made because of something evil in the past to which you cling, and for which must someone else atone. But you're the one who's saying that there's something evil there. You're the one who's saying that there's something evil in the past that needs to be atoned for. Right? And then on the top of 23. Do not underestimate the intensity of the ego's drive for vengeance on the past. The Course has got several places in which things like "do not underestimate." The insanity of, there's one point that says, never underestimate the insanity of the ego. The ego is really insane and will do really insane things, like flying airplanes into skyscrapers, right? As though there was some sort of real justification or validity in that, right? It is completely savage, we're talking about the ego now, and completely insane, for the ego remembers everything that you have done. It doesn't forget, it holds on to all these attack thoughts, right? That has offended it. I mean, remember when we did words a few sessions back, I think last year sometime, offended. Why would anything offend you? Who are you to be offended? The very thought that something could knock you off the end. You're not very strong if you're letting some little perturbation drive you insane, right? Yet without your alliance in your own destruction, the ego could not hold you to the past. And then the next section from the Course there on 23. The past is gone. Seek not to preserve it in the special relationship that binds you to it and would teach you salvation is past. And so you must return to the past to find salvation. There is no fantasy that does not contain the dream of retribution for the past. You ever get caught up in the dream of retribution? How unpleasant that is. Would you act out the dream? It's acting out the dream. Look again at what happened this last week. We acted out some insane dream got acted out, right? Or would you let it go? The Course is, time and time and time again, just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Every time you find the mind start to wander into this direction of becoming obsessed over some problem or some idea or some place of stuckness, so it could go into and could stay there. One of the ways that you know that you're progressing in the Course, Bill Thetford said this. I remember Bill Thetford, it was Helen's cohort in the production of the Course in Miracles. The way you know that you're progressing in the Course is the speed with which you let things go. I mean, the rapidity, the quicker you can let it go. If you're letting it go, then you realize you're making progress. You're not holding on. That's one sign that this is actually working for you. Okay, we got the mic here.
Hi. I guess this is progress. It was quicker, but anything involving my son, I can become like a lioness or tiger. He was unexpectedly, he's a sports journalist, but he was fired from his job at a hospital. And he was in tears because they only said negative things about him at his year-end evaluation. And I got off the phone. I was very calm, but I got off the phone and I thought, I'm looking up his boss on Facebook. I'm going to burn down the hospital. I had the most violent, I was like, and it stunned me. I ended up laughing eventually at myself, and I'm so glad I calmed down. And I thought, he's got to sue someone. I've got my ex-husband's a lawyer. I've got to, call my ex. I mean, the craziness, like I end up absolutely insane, but at least, because of the course and everything else I do spiritually, it's like I really was able to laugh at myself the next morning. And but what came out was like a shock, and it was like at 11 at night. I felt like actually I saw a line come out of me. I mean, it was like, I called it, pain body, whoever calls it, whatever. But it's so intense, but it was like it flared up like a match. I mean, being lit. It was wild.
There's probably no one here that can identify with that. That sometime or another there's something that's happened that you just instantaneously.
Yeah. I'm gonna stalk her. I mean, I've got to look up her name. I got to find out their last names. I mean, it was wild. It was wild. So.
Vengeance, yes. And here, the mic for Lily Cats. Here, give it to me. Thank you, Lily Cats.
Well, what I'm going to say right now is it's not about letting go so much as being on the other end of the stick of being required to do evaluations. It's something I have to do right now for people who work under me. And I'm given this form that has a very narrow band of choices of what you can say. You have to rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, and you can't give them a 1 and you can't give them a 5. So it's got to either be a 2, a 3, or a 4. And, it's hard. It's hard to do. And while I'm doing it, I'm thinking, gee, I hope when they get this, they take it with a grain of salt, because it's just so, the whole thing's so not true.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a tough position to be in. Right. There's someone else?
John.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is there just one mic? There should be 2.
I do know in some of your tapes you say, like, if you feel that it's coming on, like, get into another room or leave or something.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes my son is a lot bigger than me. A confrontation with your own family, you can't even escape. At one point I said to my son, I got to get out of this room, but they wouldn't let me. I end up blown up with my sister. I regret it. Like you said, anger is never justified.
Right.
When I left, but I still felt like this all had to come out. But then I felt better after, but then you feel guilty down the road.
That's right, you do.
Yeah, but then you don't know how to fix it, because I don't think my sister, her ego is, you know what I mean?
Right.
Ego against ego.
People sometimes say, you feel better after you let off the steam, but I don't think that that's really true. Especially if you've done some damage in the process. I mean, you can't feel good about the fact that you just walked in there and did some damage, psychologically speaking, in the situation, right? I did learn with my daughter when she was adolescent that the solution to was to walk out of the room and just to let it all go. And it worked. Christian, get the mic there, Christian.
Not much to say, but I do want to say that over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I've been confronted with some pretty big issues that have called on me to let it go and to forgive, and which is not my natural reaction. And I was able to do it, and I couldn't believe the payoff. I mean, if you had told me that if you forgive this person, this and this will happen, and I'm not saying that one should forgive for the payoff, but there is a payoff, and it's incredible. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, and as I told you at the beginning of the meeting, I mean, I keep being faced with many opportunities for forgiveness, and thank God that there's eternity, because that's about how long it'll take me to get it together. But anyway, no, it's really an amazing tool.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And it works. That's the whole idea.
It really, really works.
It really, really works. Right. And the payoff is peace. The payoff is peace of mind. I get to have peace of mind. I get to be sane instead of insane. That's what another way you could talk about the whole Course. You could talk about it in terms of sanity and insanity. Or another way the Course talks about these choices between reason and unreasonableness and reasonableness. That you're reasonable and that you're sane. And then you're making the choice, which is really a choice in line with the mind of God. Because God does not see a problem. Because there literally aren't any problems out there unless we're seeing them. Marianne?
I think a key to this also, and something I've been thinking a lot about lately, is the idea of private thoughts. And I think we don't have a lot of skill in expressing our private thoughts unless it's in a fury or an anger or upsetment. And if we really learned how to express it and let them go, I mean, I think that's the real thing that needs to be said, is how you are thinking about another person. Because if you don't let them know, it just festers. So I really take that to heart.
So the question is really how to do it in a loving way. I mean, Ken once said, I think I've quoted him here once before, saying that one of the most difficult things that a Course in Miracles student can learn is how to be able to disagree with somebody else without it being an attack. I mean, that does take a lot of diplomacy, which you need in a situation like you're in, Lodi Cat. You need a lot of diplomacy right? But it doesn't mean you can't have it, right? And I give the mic to Eric here.
I think this is super helpful for me to understand that all of my thoughts on the level of form, all my thoughts about myself, other people, and what the world thinks and believes are true are all flawed. There's no reality in them. So it's not even a matter of having some thoughts on the level, some thoughts about myself and some thoughts about another person and some thoughts about what's happening in the world. It's all flawed and not true and a distraction from here now.
Well, except for the loving thoughts. I mean, those are not flawed. I mean, they're really sincerely loving thoughts that we have for each other. Right? But all the rest of it is distraction, and it's part of insanity. Right? Anybody else? No? Okay. Let's do a couple of things. How about those cards? Anybody want to share your cards with us? I'll have 10 minutes worth of card sharing here. Let's try to pass the mic so that let's put one mic on this side of the room, one mic on this side of the room. And why don't we just do this side of the room for a while, and then we'll go and do that side. That makes it a little bit easier. We won't jump around. Okay, I see you got it.
Your passage through time and space is not at random. You cannot but be in the right place at the right time.
It's over there. I'll get it. Yeah.
Tell where that voice is coming from.
Yeah, it's coming from right here. All right, but let's talk about it. So this is really reassuring. Your passage through space, you cannot help but be in the right place at the right time. So even if you're in one of these situations where you say, I would never have chosen this, I don't want to be here in this hospital bed or in this automobile accident or whatever it is, or this relationship that, well, this is what you're learning. Remember last time I told you there was a guy who told me he was in an automobile accident. A car was going into the side of a truck, and he could, just as it was going in, he heard, don't worry, this has to happen, everything's going to be okay. The second line is really it has to happen? It's like the story that I read earlier about the woman who had the dream about her friend dying and then didn't tell her. And then the friend comes back and said, but I was supposed to die. All right, anybody else on this side? Here, let's go back here too.
It is quite possible to listen to God's voice all through the day without interrupting your regular activities in any way. The part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not.
This is what I meant, Hugh, earlier when we were talking about meditating, to being in a meditative state. You don't have to sit down to meditate to be in the meditative state. That when the mind is there and the mind's aligned, then it doesn't make any difference what you're doing. You can still be meditating. And that's yes. Judith. By the way, Judith came to see us all the way today from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Right. Right.
I first heard John in Wauwatosa at the Unity Church there, and he did a seminar, and I was very much helped by that. But I think that this card today was like written for me. But then, of course, if it was written for me, it must have been written for all of you.
Well, whatever card you got, that's for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, but it's definitely for me.
Okay.
Your worth is not established by teaching or learning. Your worth is established by God. Nothing you do or think or wish or make is necessary to establish your worth.
All right. Isn't that good? Anybody else on this side? Oh, go ahead, Anne.
Type quickly because it's huge. All anger is nothing more than an attempt to make someone feel guilty. And I've been just realizing that.
All right. Let's have the...
Mine reads, peace is a natural heritage of spirit. Everyone is free to refuse to accept his inheritance, but he is not free to establish what his inheritance is.
That's like the beginning of the course where it says this is a required course.
Right.
By the time you take it in, it's voluntary.
Absolutely.
Right. It's...
I had a couple days ago, I had a major conflict with my roommate, and then woke this morning to read with a partner that I read daily with, and we were reading in Above the Battleground. And the first sentence in Above the Battleground is, do not remain in conflict, for there is no war where there is no conflict. So this is really saying, I have a choice to remain in conflict, which is to refuse my inheritance, or to let go of it and accept my natural inheritance.
So that's a really good point. If you see yourself as conflicted, just say that, I am conflicted now, but I don't have to remain conflicted. It's a choice, a very simple choice. I can step out of this conflict, right? You're letting go quicker and quicker and quicker again. Shanti, did you want to share? Take the mic, hon.
This is a card of complete surrender, it seems to me. Nothing can prevail against the Son of God who commends his spirit unto the hands of the Father.
Right. We're just giving it back.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Very beautiful.
But it is a total surrender.
Total surrender. Which is really, when we get around to the death thing, that's what you all I think when it actually, you get to that point, you probably will remember, but just remember, let go, let go, let go, let go, and trust. Just trust this is going to be perfectly okay, and the easier you can let go, the better the whole thing. And then you get to see what Cora saw, that, wow, it's wonderful, actually. Anybody else on this side? Okay, let's go to this side of the room. And Christian's got the mic, but anybody, just start.
Hi. Put all your faith in the love of God within you, eternal, changeless, and forever unfailing. This is the answer to whatever confronts you today.
So how simple?
Oh, I'm not, but I don't think, yeah. it is simple, but I'm finding exceptions. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Still simple.
Yeah, it is simple.
Somebody else on this side? Okay, just pass it back. Let anybody just let it go around.
I am alone in nothing. Everything I think or say or do teaches all the universe.
Isn't that great? That's a part of this kind of holographic sense of the Course. Everything I think or do or say, that's a part of the one mind as well. That it affects throughout the whole spectrum is affected. And let's go back.
Under his teaching, capital H, under his teaching, every relationship becomes a lesson in love. It's the way I'm living it.
Yeah, good. Brooke, did you want to?
Everything is for your own best interests.
Just exactly. The two of you are right in sync there, right? Michael, do you want to?
My kingdom is not of this world, because it is in you, and you are of your Father.
Let's keep in mind that the kingdom is not a physical place. That's really, the kingdom of heaven is inside you, but it's not in your body, it's in your mind.
Kingdom is you.
Kingdom, yeah, the kingdom of heaven, that's true, the Course says that. Dolores?
All things work together for good. There are no exceptions except in the ego's judgment.
See, sometimes it's kind of hard to see, isn't it, that all things are working, but it's really true. I think sometimes the older you get, the easier it is to look back and see that even some of the tragedies that we went through in our life journey were very necessary in terms of what we had to learn along the way. It all starts making much more sense. And as Kierkegaard once said, life can only be lived forward, but only understood backwards. All right. Anybody else back that way? Lillian? No? John? No? Okay. Anybody else up front here? All right, Lillian. Laura.
This is his card, but it's mine now. The goal of the curriculum is know thyself. There is nothing else to seek.
Yeah.
I did have a question, though.
Okay, you can. Yeah.
If you do live in the mind of God, as that card over there suggested, why wouldn't you want to come back? I felt very alone when I was the only one, maybe two people who wanted to come back. Not to say that I live in the mind of God, but I do like being here. And it's not just my ego. I might add.
I like the fact that you like being here. What we understand from so many of these experiences and descriptions, that however much you like this, it's so much better. And it just keeps getting better if we're moving in the... Because the body is a limitation in form.
But I'm not a body.
Oh, well, good. If you see that, if you really see that, you know that that's true. And so much the better. Right? Okay. All right. And then we'll do a meditation.
It is hard to understand that the kingdom of heaven is within you really means. The word within is unnecessary. The kingdom of heaven is you.
That's what David just said that. Yeah. Good. Okay. So I want to share a meditation now. So if you want to get relaxed and close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths and just be very, very present. Let me remember I am one with God. Today we will give thanks for our identity in God. Our home is safe, protection guaranteed in all we do. Power and strength available to us in all of our undertakings. We can fail in nothing. Everything we touch takes on a shining light that blesses and that heals. At one with God and with the universe, we go our way rejoicing, with the thought that God Himself goes everywhere with us. Remember, I am one with God. How holy are our minds. And everything we see reflects the holiness within the mind, at one with God and with itself. How easily do errors disappear, and death gives place to everlasting life. Our shining footprints point the way to truth, for God is our companion as we walk the world a little while. And those who come to follow us will recognize the way, because the light we carry stays behind, yet still remains with us as we walk on. Let remember, I am one with God. What we receive is our eternal gift to those who follow after, and to those who went before or stayed with us a while. And God, who loves us with the equal love in which we were created, smiles on us and offers us the happiness we gave. Let me remember, I am one with God. Today, we will not doubt His love for us, nor question His protection and His care. No meaningless anxieties can come between our faith and our awareness of His presence. We are one with Him today in recognition and remembrance. We feel Him in our hearts. Our minds contain His thoughts. Our eyes behold His loveliness in all we look upon. Today we see only the loving and the lovable. Let me remember, I am one with God. We see it in appearances of pain, and pain gives way to peace. We see it in the frantic and the sad and the distressed, the lonely and afraid, who are restored to the tranquility and peace of mind in which they were created. And we see it in the dying and the dead as well, restoring them to life. All this we see because we saw it first within ourselves. Let me remember, I am one with God. No miracle can ever be denied to those who know that they are one with God. No thought of theirs but has the power to heal all forms of suffering in everyone. Let me remember, I am one with God. We join in this awareness as we say that we are one with God. For in these words we say as well that we are saved and healed, that we can save and heal accordingly. We have accepted, and we now would give. We would keep the gift our Father gave. Today, we would experience ourselves at one with Him, so that the world may share our recognition of reality. Let me remember, I am one with God, at one with all my brothers and myself, in everlasting holiness and peace. Amen. The last page of lesson 16, the last paragraph on on chapter 16, is what we call the Lord's Prayer from A Course in Miracles, and it's printed on the back of your little booklet. And let's read this out loud together. We pause at every comma. We stop at every period. Forgive us our illusions, Father, and help us to accept our true relationship with you, in which there are no illusions and where none can ever enter. Your holiness is ours. What can there be in us that needs forgiveness when yours is perfect? The sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember your forgiveness and your love. Let us not wander into temptation, for the temptation of the Son of God is not your will. And let us receive only what you have given, and accept but this into the mind, which you created and which you love. Amen. Just a couple of comments about this prayer. One is, we talk about the dreaming of the world. Another way to talk about the sleep of forgetfulness is the same thing as talking about the dreaming of the world, the sleep of forgetfulness in which we forgot our origin and our identity. The funny thing about this, when this particular passage first came through, Helen didn't get it. And she thought that Jesus had slipped. And she was always trying to catch him off guard, you know. And that it just produced gibberish. But Bill helped her to see, no, this made perfect sense. Right, if you read it. So a couple of things about the future. One is that although February is the 8th of February, it is the second week, even though it looks like it's early. And in March, it's going to be the third Sunday. I'm not to confuse you, but there's two reasons for that. One is that I'm going to be gone during the first week of March. I'm not getting back until like the 8th or the 9th, so I couldn't be on the 8th. So it'll be the third. You'll get an email about this, but just try to keep in mind that because it usually is the second, and so it's really the third in March. For those of you who want to go with us to have a bite to eat, we do go afterwards to Saigon Market, which is 2 blocks straight down on 12th Street, and then make a left on University. There's a table that's reserved for us. If you get there ahead of me, and you will, because I'll be staying here to pack up books and stuff, just say you're with the Miracles group, and they'll show you to your table. All right? Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you.